Yes, okay, you're right. But gas flow resistance is closely correlated with the density of a material. So, for the sake of easier discussion, I'm just going to say density.
This is all a bit beyond me.
Yeah, and a lot of it's beyond me too. It sounds like I probably understand a lot of this stuff, but just enough to get by. So
What you got to do, you know?
So given that this isn't a large room to begin with, there was a lot of stuff I had to do to get things the way I wanted them. So my front corners, they're 2 feet deep of insulation. But then within that 2 feet, I have 8 foot tall MDF, half-inch MDF panels that act as like waveguides. So think of them as like fins on like a boat or like a rudder. That's exactly what they are. And then those are stuffed with insulation in between. And the idea is it kind of like funnels the sound into those, bounces around inside of there, increasing the surface area more or less because it's taking longer for the sound to go through and then longer for the sound to come back out. So
Oh my
it
God.
almost acts as a deeper trap. And then I got the same deal on my sidewalls too, where I got 8-inch. The sidewalls are 8 inches deep, and I have 8-inch deep MDF panels as well. And to be honest, I was amazed whenever I compared them to the 4-inch panels I had, because while 8 inches isn't that deep for a bass trap, they brought me 1.5 dB down at 40 hertz. So for a small 8-inch trap to do that much trapping at 40 hertz was impressive. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
sweet. So I'm going to build 4 more of these. And yeah, so yeah, the rest of it is just tons and tons of trapping. There's really no way around it. If you want to do this seriously, if you want an accurate space, you have to sacrifice the space for the treatment. Foam towels on your wall are not going to do it. Regular rock wool panels will be fine for recording and probably even get you by on mixing, but if you want to have an accurate space, you have to do custom treatment like this, just to maximize the space.
It's like yeah. Even in my room, I just feel like almost like maybe like a quarter of the room is acoustic treatment. So like I've like lost a ton of my space just to get it sounding decent.
Yeah, and in past studios, I've had like my guitars hanging on the wall and stuff, and it's like I literally have no space for that. I got like 2 shelves. I think I have 2 shelves and a picture on my wall, and that's really the only visible wall in my room. Like, what I see behind you is more visible wall that you have than what I have in my room.
Yeah, I'm sure. Wait, tell us a little bit about your cloud, because that's kind of maybe the most obvious component.
So the last person that came in here, they said, wow, is that a mattress on your wall? And I'm like, no, but it is the same size. So it's 12 inches deep, 4 by 8 feet, and just made a wood frame and filled it again with R30 insulation, pink fluffy stuff. And then on the back side against the ceiling, I have Owens Corning 703. And I guess the idea behind that is that as the sound goes through, especially like bass, because bass waves are just ridiculously long, like 20 plus feet, depending on the frequency you're talking about. They take a lot of mass to stop. So with having a denser material behind the less dense material, you give the bass now more resistance to slow it down, as opposed to putting it in the front where it becomes reflective to highs and mid frequencies. So that is why the stiffer insulation is behind that. And then in front of all that, so facing me, well, facing downwards, I have a 3-inch by 3-inch grid diffuser, which think of it like a giant wine rack. That's kind of what it looks like, just a big wooden grid with 3-inch deep cubes. And trying to learn about that. Like, RLX makes a product called a space coupler, and it's pretty much the same deal. It's 24 inches by 24 inches, 3 by 3 inch cubes. And they're really expensive too. But the science is kind of hazy on what they do, how they work. So they diffuse on the way in. So sound will hit it, like, imagine it hitting it from a side, and then it gets bounced into the cloud on an angle at that point. So then it kind of like bounces around in there.
It's like that. It's like that video game with like the ball.
Yeah, Pong.
The panel. Yeah, Pong. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like that, and then any sound that gets reflected off the ceiling and then bounces down through the cloud again has to get diffused through the grid diffuser again. So it diffuses sound on the way in and the way out. So it makes it an effective diffuser, as well as it traps sound that was coming in through the side that like funnels it in almost. I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's almost acting like a funnel for sound, while also adding a bunch of liveliness and dynamics too. So that was one thing I did, was tested the grid diffuser after I built it, and said, okay, I hope I didn't waste all this time. It was really cheap to build. It was like $20 in wood. If you have the tools and the patience, you can build it for like $20, and it's massive.
Wild.
So I put it up there, and I'm like, okay, I hope this wasn't a waste of time. And, started listening to some music. I'm like, oh, wow, cool. It added some liveliness back to the sound. It added, almost like more dynamics. So I'm like, all right, that was a win.
Right, because you deadened up your room. Your room is so dead.
Yeah, the room was dead. Well, it wasn't too dead. It's very tight sounding. But having that reflection from the top there was kind of nice. And then, like I said, in addition, it also made the cloud more effective in the low end too. I don't know why. I don't know how. It just did. So
this is beyond the science stuff.
It's beyond my pay grade too.
Yeah.
Like, you could read about this stuff. I mean, there's a reason there's college degrees in acoustics. Like, it's a deep field of science and mathematics.
So if you could do it all again, would you do it?
Yeah, I would. Definitely.
It was fun to do. It was like a fun project, I guess.
Yeah, dude, I love doing stuff like this. It keeps me busy. It keeps me out of trouble. It keeps my mind fresh because it's like constantly solving puzzles. Part of the thing was, this cloud ended up weighing like probably a good 100 pounds or so. So part of the challenge was, okay, how do I get it up there? And how do I make sure it doesn't fall on top of me and kill me?
Oh, yeah. You got to do that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, everybody, if you want to check it out, he's got information on his website and on Facebook, and you can see pictures and see exactly what he did. And I'll put links in the show notes so you can kind of get a deeper dive on it. There was one thing I didn't ask you about, I guess, on your chain was how do you limit?
Yeah. So I totally thought about that after we were done. It's like, oh, we didn't even talk about what happens when it comes back in.
We both thought about it. Brilliant.
Yeah. So anything else I do after it goes back in is almost just down to limiting and final loudness. So I like to get the entire mix where I want it to sit, tonally speaking, from there. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll push into a limiter or a clipper or both, and then go from there. So my two most tools for that would be SIR standard clip, which is a clipper, and it's an incredibly affordable clipper too, at like $26, I think. It's like stupid cheap. No brainer if you don't have a clipper, and it does so quite transparently too. So if loudness is important to the artist, I will do that. That takes care of kind of like any peaky material that would cause the compressor to pump too early, and kind of like levels that off a little bit. And then my go-to limiter is, for most projects, is the FabFilter Pro L2. I've used other ones. I keep coming back to this one. I can easily get 4 dB of limiting without things sounding super squished. Again, it's pretty transparent. And mine almost always lives in the transparent mode as well, because at this point, I like where the sound is. I don't want to change it anymore from there, and I'm just looking to make it louder and sound the same.
Right, you don't use your limiter to affect the tone, basically. Is what you're
Correct.
saying.
Yeah, I do have Voxango Elephant, which is an older plugin. It's been around for a while, and on some projects that works too. It's got a bunch of different modes, colors, whatever you want to call it. And it's got one called EL8 Bright. And that can work really well on some projects too. So it just depends.
Nice. Yeah, I recently got the Pro L2 just because it just seemed like a plugin I had to have
right,
at a certain point.
And if you had Pro L,
yeah,
you're sleeping on it if you didn't get Pro L2. It is such a massive upgrade. Like Pro Q2 to Pro Q3 was great because of like the extra modes. Even though there was a slight upgrade in the sound too, I thought overall it sounded cleaner. The algorithms from Pro L to Pro L2 was just crazy. It sounded so much better. I'm like, wow.
It seems to be the new standard. It's replaced the L2 with the Pro L2.
Yes. So the only other limiter I want to buy is DMG Limitless. DMG makes awesome plugins, really good stuff. But for those who are curious, it's a multi-band limiter. So you can think of it as a multi-band compressor, but it's a limiter.
Right. That's like the L1, the L3 does that, I think. If I understand correctly.
From Waves?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not that many Waves plugins I have used, and they just do not want to play nice on my system. So I just avoid them like the plague. Which has a whole.
And I know people that work for Waves, so you could if you want to let them know what the issue is, like I'll put you.
Yeah, I sent them an email like 2 years ago over something I couldn't get to work, and I never got a response, so I just said screw it, and I just stopped using all the plugins I had from them.
Fair enough.
But hey, I know lots of people that love them, so no hate, just use what you like. But yeah, so absolutely. DMG Limitless is just absolutely bonkers of a limiter. It is super flexible. I don't know why I haven't bought it by now. I'm cheap. I keep waiting for a sale, and they like never do sales.
Right.
So
Thanksgiving seems to be the time, like Black Friday.
Yeah, so I
get most of my plugins on Black Friday.
Yeah, I may cop it then. I try to do the same. If I see something on sale, it's like, okay, I can use this. I'll try to scoop it up. One
year, it's like, okay, I'm getting Contact this year. Okay.
Yeah. Native Instruments the next year.
Yeah, exactly. You save up and wait for Black Friday.
Mm-hmm. I think that's yeah, go ahead.
No, you go on. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's when I bought RX-7 by Isotope. That might have been a Black Friday sale because, that's an expensive plugin too.
Right. I'm never going to buy RX-7 until it's like super on sale.
Yeah. I mean, I say on sale, but it was still like $300. So, I mean,
listen, compared to $700, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Or whatever it runs.
What is it, $400 or $500? Something like that. I don't know. It was on sale. Expensive. I'm like, okay, I'm a mastering engineer and I was told I need this, so I'll buy it.
Yeah. I think I bought the Pro L because I was trying to get rid of Ozone 7 as my mastering limiter.
Yeah.
Not that I master, but like just, even for this podcast, for example, just you need to have a limiter.
Right, yeah. Even if it's just like a pseudo thing just to get the volume up for a client, and it's like, hey, this is how it sounds loud, because, if you send it back quiet, it's going to be like, why does it sound so quiet? And it's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, easy for us to say, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Turn the volume knob up.
Yeah, amen. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the loudness wars? Because we don't have to talk about it, but if you have like a say about it, then it's worth, I guess, bringing up.
It doesn't matter to me. And I say that in the sense of the loudness wars itself doesn't matter to me. As a whole, I'm of the opinion, just push the song to where it sounds good. If it's loud, so be it. If it's not as loud, whatever. I just want the song to sound really good at the end of the day. And even when I do limiting, like I'll generally ask people, hey,